Good afternoon. I am Mayor Lyrin Gaylor-Baird, and I'm so proud to share the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County's efforts to enhance the welcome and inclusion of immigrant and refugee residents to our community. Our efforts to enhance have culminated in the development of Lincoln and Lancaster County's Immigrant Welcoming and Belonging Strategic Plan. And this plan that we are releasing today underscores the vital role that new Americans have played and will continue to play in the economic success and cultural vibrancy of our community. And this collaborative work strongly aligns with our One Lincoln initiative to create a culture of equity, inclusion, and belonging for every Lincoln resident. The Welcoming and Belonging Strategic Plan that we're releasing today is designed to include immigrants and refugees more fully into the economic, social, and civic fabric of our community. The City of Lincoln and Lancaster County developed the plan over the course of the last year with input from community members, and stakeholders, and many local organizations. And this process was facilitated through the Gateways for Growth Challenge, a competitive opportunity for localities to receive research support and/or technical assistance from the American Immigration Council and from Welcoming America, with the aim of improving immigrant inclusion in their communities. Our plan includes a new data report that highlights the crucial role that new Americans play in our community and outlines action steps to facilitate equitable access to services for all residents, civic engagement and community connections, access to education, economic opportunity, safe and healthy communities, and affordable and quality housing. And I want to thank the American Immigration Council and Welcoming America for this opportunity to participate in the Gateways for Growth Challenge, as well as the numerous local individuals and agencies that have dedicated their time and their experiences and their expertise to develop our plan, one that will make Lincoln a more welcoming community for us all. I want to say a special thank you to the members of our planning committee who convened our stakeholders and drafted the plan. County Commissioner Krista Yoakum, Adele Burke, a former policy aide in my office, Sarah Hoyle, the Director of Lancaster County Human Services, Lee Kramer, Program Coordinator at the Asian Community and Cultural Center, Nizar Rasho, Program Supervisor at Lutheran Family Services, and Mindy Rush Chipman, the former Director of the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights. I am deeply grateful for their leadership. Here to provide more details about the Welcoming and Belonging Strategic Plan and next steps for plan implementation is Lancaster County Commissioner Krista Yoakum, whose leadership has been instrumental in the development of our plan. Thank you so much, Commissioner Yoakum.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all of your support throughout this process. In a larger sense, this Lincoln and Lancaster County Belonging and Welcoming Strategic Plan is not a city plan or a county plan. This is a community plan, a whole community plan. And these recommendations came together with the input of so many community members, including more than 500 surveys completed by immigrant and refugee Lincolnites, input from more than 70 individuals and organizations who participate in the New Americans Task Force, a steering committee of more than 65 community members, individuals, and groups, and from many sectors including educators, nonprofit organizations, refugee resettlement agencies, employers, and businesses, and with the collaboration of the city and the county. Together, we identified strong efforts of inclusion in Lancaster County that are already happening and comprise these recommendations where we identified barriers to equitable access and participation to ensure full participation of immigrants and refugees in our community. We've long seen the positive effects of a growing immigrant population, including revitalized neighborhoods, innovation, and cultural diversity. With the research provided by the American Immigration Council, we know immigrants held more than $455.7 million in spending power since 2014 here in our community. And they've contributed more than $89.2 million in federal taxes and more than $60 million in state and local taxes. With this strategic plan, Lancaster County and the City of Lincoln continue to show that we're committed to ensuring we are a welcoming and inclusive community for all. Some recommendations can be accomplished by simply changing a process or adding language access in printed materials and signage, and those are minimal costs. The report, combined with community input, can help agencies apply for grant funding. Just as the community came together to create this plan as a community, we will all have a role in the implementation and in fostering a strong sense of belonging in all aspects of city life. This begins a strong foundation, a partnership between public, private, nonprofit, and philanthropic sectors. To develop this report, we received research and support and technical assistance from the American Immigration Council and from Welcoming America. Today we are joined by Zoom with Olivia Heibach, the Midwest Regional Manager for Welcoming America. Olivia, thank you for joining us to say a few words about the project.
And thank you for having me. Hello, my name is Olivia Heibach. I'm the Midwest Regional Manager with Welcoming America. On behalf of the team at Welcoming America, our partners at the American Immigration Council, and the entire Gateways for Growth team, I'm delighted to be here today, celebrating this important milestone as you launch your strategic welcoming plan and your individualized research brief that provide a snapshot of the demographics in Lancaster County and shine a special light on the economic power that immigrant communities hold in Nebraska. For the past year, the team has had the privilege of supporting local leaders who have been at the helm of this work. Among those leaders are Krista Yoakum, Mindy Rush-Chipman, Sarah Hoyle, and Lee Kramer. They, along with countless others in the community, have worked to get you to this point. Today, we set our eyes on a vision for a more inclusive and equitable Lancaster County where everyone can belong. A vision where the more than 25,000 immigrants are invested in and where programs, policies, and practice support this critical part of your economic infrastructure. This vision shouldn't just be some lofty goal. With the continued commitment of resources from the city, the county, residents, and stakeholders, the policies and programs outlined in this plan help set into motion a community where no matter where you come from, you can thrive and prosper in Lincoln and all of Lancaster County. Today, you all make history as the first county in Nebraska to publicly launch a welcoming plan. At the same time, you aren't in this work alone. You join a movement of dozens of other cities and counties that have launched strategic welcoming plans in hopes of building, block by block, a foundation for belonging, both for long-term residents and newcomers. This is a movement of communities who see strength rather than a threat in our new neighbors. A movement that is today making it possible for more Americans, whether they've just arrived or been here for generations, to be full participants in the social, civic, and economic fabric of the places we call home. After today, we move from planning into doing. This plan is a map, but you are all the drivers working to end discrimination, reduce barriers, and strengthen bonds across lines of difference. I'd like to charge each of you to take the plan. Find something that utilizes your strengths or networks and get involved in moving from planning into action. What Lancaster County looks like in 30 years depends on what you commit to doing today. The success of this plan depends on the willingness of leaders like yourselves to see it through, from envisioning to enacting. We at Welcoming America and the American Immigration Council would continue to be a resource to you and look forward to celebrating many more milestones in the year to come. Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate and reaffirm our commitment to work towards a Lancaster County where neighbors support neighbors, systems facilitate equity, and policies bend towards the arc of justice. Thank you, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Olivia. And finally today, we want to introduce our city clerk, Sulani Fan, whose parents fled Laos and came to Nebraska in 1980. Her inspirational story is profiled in the strategic plan. Sulani will discuss the impact this plan will have on our immigrant and refugee communities. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner Yoakum, for having me here today. I'm proud and I'm grateful to be able to have an opportunity to speak about the wonderful impact that this will have on our community. There are many cities, county team, community members, and other local organizations and leaders that were a part of this process. And I want to thank everyone for all of their efforts, their time, importantly, the commitment in developing the Welcoming and Belonging Strategic Plan. I'm here today to tell you how important and valuable this plan really is. A personal perspective. I'm a first-generation American, born in Omaha, raised and grew up in Beatrice, Nebraska, and I currently am now living and raising my family here in Lincoln. Both my parents and husband's family relocated refugees here in Nebraska back in the 1980s. Relocating to a new place, a new country, a new community is not without fear and uncertainty. We were lucky to have a loving sponsor family that provided us with the necessities and helped us and my parents establish their first steps in the community. However, not all families and refugees have that type of support system. Growing up was very difficult. There are so many unspoken, unseen factors that affect the family members and their success with relocation. With my personal experiences, looking back at my family history, being engaged in our community now, working here in the city, has helped me see and understand that there were a lot of gaps between resources, education, economic prosperity, and growth, not only for my family, but for many others. That is why it is very important to have a plan such as this in place. The strategic plan will help our new community members with their resources, the education, opportunities to grow and prosper. They will have support to be able to be a part of our community in many ways. It will help them with the transitions and the uneasiness that they may still be feeling and carrying. This plan describes and explains all the wonderful things that I personally would have wished I was able to have for me and my family. There are many, but just to highlight a few, assistance that provided to our students and families at LPS regarding ELL services, special education, other needs, our community resources and services like GARE and Lincoln's diverse local community and cultural centers that are available, resources such as New American Task Force, the Career Ladder, and My City's Academy, which I'm very proud to be a part of and participate in. It is very valuable to our community. It gives our new community members an opportunity to learn, feel empowered. It allows them to have civic engagement, community connections, and education that they may not have even had from where they were from. This helps families in our community to grow, to learn, and become stronger. And sometimes just having that chance and being given the chance to be able to have a new start and to be a part of a life and live in a community that cares and is welcoming is one of the most powerful things we can provide as Lincolnites. Thank you.
Thank you, Sulani. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We encourage the public to read the plan, which is available at lincoln.ne.gov/OneLincoln.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Yoakum. Thank you so much, Sulani, our city clerk. And thank you to Olivia for zooming in. And again, thank you to everyone who had a major role in bringing together this work. And at this time, any of the folks who've been here today would be happy to answer the media's questions.
Could I make just one quick
Come
comment?
on up, absolutely.
I should have, I feel remiss, I intended to say this. I also wanted to thank Jenny Ryan with the Lancaster County Human Services Department. We wouldn't be here today and meeting the deadlines we needed to meet without Jenny keeping us on track and doing the editing of the beautiful plan that you'll see when you go to the website. Thank you.
Any questions?
I know that you set out the action plans, but the study identified both barriers and things that you're doing well. Can you maybe talk a little about each of those? You know, what are we doing well here? What are the barriers that still exist?
I'll give one example and then ask Commissioner Yoakum to come up. But I think one of the things that Lincoln and Lancaster County are doing really well is bringing together people from the nonprofit and public and private sector to collaborate to create things like the My City Academy and the Gateways for Growth project, and the Career Ladder. So the Career Ladder has received recognition from Google and funding from Google. We've been able to leverage that from funding from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And what that means for people here is that there have been more opportunities to get civically engaged, to get a better understanding of how the city works. Sulini mentioned that she's a volunteer in the My City Academy. She's helping new Americans understand how to get involved so that they might follow a path into civic life just as she has. And I recently had the opportunity to nominate a graduate of My City Academy to the Human Rights Commission. So we are creating real pathways into opportunity through these programs. And I think we're doing a really good job of that, thanks to the leadership of the people who put together this plan. Commissioner Yocum?
No, I don't think I could say any better than that, but I do want to acknowledge that we've had a lot of good things happening in this community for a long time. The New Americans Task Force is, 25 years old, I think? And a lot has been happening there. But through these other supports, we were able to then grow some of those partnerships and grow the reach. In addition to the person who the mayor appointed, one of the My City Academy graduates has now been appointed to Aging Partners Board. So we are seeing people get more engaged. It's also helped to form relationships. Law enforcement, police department is one of the groups that come and talk with My City Academy, and they've established some better relationships there. But we found that learning has happened on both sides, and that's been great, and that's really what we want from this, is to form those partnerships and relationships.
So what's some of the work that still needs to be done?
Well, there's a lot of work that does still need to be done. One thing that I mentioned that was very simple is, signage and multilingual, information. That's certainly something. But beyond that, we want to, the mayor mentioned the career ladder. We want to beef that up with some more pathways to better employment. Lifting people out of poverty, using potentially skills and education that people had before they came to this country for more self-fulfillment for them, but certainly higher wages and lifting them out of poverty. And clearly we need the workforce right now, right?
So did this program provide money for this study or this challenge? I don't exactly understand the...
No, this was technical assistance. And so what American Immigration Council, formerly known as New American Economy, did was they came in with research. They gave us a lot of the numbers. That's where we got the number of the spending power that I talked about. But there's a lot more data there as well, identifying what careers people want to be in, what careers people have been in, some of those sorts of things. And we paired that with those 500 surveys that we had done locally over the last couple of years that asked some of those same questions. What would you prefer to be doing? What is your past education, et cetera? To get an idea of where people could be working. So no, it was only the technical assistance, which was huge to get us here, obviously.
One other example I would point to, again, highlighting the Career Ladder program, is that we have many new Americans in our community who are foreign-trained professionals, but who do not have the proper accreditations or certifications to perform their professional expertise in service to our community. But we are working on that and making sure that folks have a pathway to get the credentials they need to then do their work here. And with workforce being such a challenge here and everywhere right now, we know that's just another way to help boost our local economy and make sure that there's economic opportunity for new Americans. And some of our ARPA, or American Rescue Plan funds, are being devoted to workforce upskilling and reskilling, and some of that's training folks to become certified nursing assistants and phlebotomists, jobs that people may have had in their previous countries. So this work is, it's not in its own lane. It is becoming integrated into the work that we do generally as we work to build economic opportunity and grow Lincoln and Lancaster County.
We do have a couple questions from KFOR. Mayor, is it too early to know if we're going to be receiving immigrants from the Ukraine war zone?
It is too early to know, but we would certainly like people to know that we are standing at the ready. We have been a refugee resettlement community for decades. We are, and this whole report and planning effort is a testament to our willingness to step up and welcome new people to our community. We have, of course, welcomed recent Afghan evacuees, and should there be an opportunity to welcome Ukrainian members into our community. We would, former Ukrainian residents into our community, we stand at the ready to do that.
And I would just say that a plan like this helps us to be more proactive, and so that we and the newcomers will both be more successful as a community.
And KFOR has another question. It's kind of broad. Would you please reveal what is in the plan? Just going to let people know that it is available on the city website. There's a lot in it, but maybe you could just do a summary of what is in the plan?
I'm trying to think about where to start, truly. It is a very broad plan. It looks, when we look at public safety, what are the steps that are needed for public safety, for better awareness on everyone's part. I described the My City Academy situation. There's language access, healthcare, education, workforce. I feel like I may be missing one or two of the pillars. And then it's really then looking within those, what needs to be done to make those services more accessible, to form better relationships. There's also, one recommendation is looking at a staff position as a better liaison through the city. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or any of these steps will happen immediately, but those are some of the recommendations that came from the community.
So you guys have this plan you just published. Is there anything that in the plan right now that is happening, or is this all, in the future?
That's a great question, and it's 30-some pages, and so I hope there's a lot that's already happening. And truly, you can go through there, and there are boxes that we can check that we know are already happening in the community. And the beauty of having a plan like this is so that we can sustain those programs in the community and sustain those activities.
And just to build on what Commissioner Yoakum has already highlighted, the plan does certainly acknowledge some of the good work and help create context for both community members who want to help, but also policymakers. You'll see attention called to affordable housing. We have a coordinated affordable housing action plan, and this is another element of why that's important. So many new Americans come to our community with very few resources, and so having access to housing as a stabilizing foundation for their success in assimilating and finding jobs and getting their kids in school, it's really important. The education piece. You walk into Lincoln High, for instance, and you see the flags of dozens of other countries. What a signal and a symbol of welcoming and belonging. Our partnerships with the public schools are a way that we can also support new Americans, and CLCs in particular, where the city has partnerships, help with that before and after school care. Our contributions, the city and county has dedicated millions of dollars to nonprofits, that some of which serve our new Americans, and in particular some of the work to support Lincoln Littles and childcare, early childhood education is also going to. So some of these things are absolutely in progress, but highlighting how important continued investment is in housing, in job opportunities, in emergency management and public safety, and even public transit, for example. Those are some of the ways this report shines a light on the important work that local and county government contributes to the well-being and the welcoming and inclusion of new Americans. Any other questions?
Yeah, we do have a question from Melissa Rosales at NET, or Nebraska Public Media, sorry. Are the recommendations action items the city is planning to do, or is it just recommendations? And she gives an example, like partnering to provide trained interpreters to support residents to sign up for Medicaid.
Well, the plan's just being released today, so this is a great blueprint for future policy and investment making. So we will be looking at this carefully as we, pull together our budgets and plan for the future. Any other questions that we can answer? Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone who made this moment possible, and we hope that members of our community will take time to look over the strategic plan and the ways that they can be a part of it. Again, that's at lincoln.ne.gov/onelincoln. Thank you.